right, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Eileen, how are you doing over there with the beautiful Christmas tree?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing with
All
that pretty?
right. Yeah, the weather's beautiful here in Tampa, Florida. I don't know if you can see it behind me. I got the sun shining. It's my favorite time of year to live in Florida.
What during in the wintertime?
Yes.
Me, I agree 100%. Definitely, my favorite time of the year in Texas is, every day is my favorite day to live in Texas. If you wanted to know the truth, Eileen, I can't. You know how you're hitting a Texan right where it hurts. Hey, so by the way, a couple of quick questions that are very important. Number one, how long have you had your tree up?
One day.
Oh,
It just got up this morning.
no, okay, good. Because ours, it's Thanksgiving. Ours is going up this weekend, right? It's Thanksgiving, and we put it up right after Thanksgiving. We have 3 of them. I got them all down from the attic. They're all ready to go. They're prepped and stationed, and I am really excited about it. So, I've got
a question for Eileen.
do you have? So I just want you to know I have a 20-foot snowman that goes up outside,
Nice.
and I have a 30-foot Santa Claus that's going up outside. And
Love it.
yeah, I know, right? And then so this year at Halloween I had the kids come, and they came from the neighborhood. They came and knocked on the door, and they're little bitty ones, and they all, it was like 7 different times. They all looked at me and goes, "Is Frosty coming back this year?"
Aw,
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I love it. You're the cool house. You're the cool house. And
I'm a
that's
cool.
pretty
Yeah,
important.
I tried to give out the big candy bars, but my wife was like, "No, we're not starting that. we're
Fair.
not, we're not starting the big candy bar thing." All right, Eileen. Look, I digress. I want to get right into this. I enjoyed having you on a panel discussion at Women in Trucking. What's your takeaway when we get started here? What was your takeaway from the Women in Trucking conference?
I think the single most powerful thing about the Women in Trucking Conference is the energy, the passion. It is 1,700 plus people, so pumped to be there, so pumped to change the face of the trucking industry, especially for women and those populations that haven't historically been part of it. And every time I go to this conference, this was my 5th time, and every time I come back and I'm pumped up, I'm full of energy, I get to reconnect with my peers, meet new people, new connections, and just kind of prepare to finish the year strong. And then it gets me excited for 2023 as well, which was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I learned a lot there. I had a lot of fun there, and was definitely taken back by exactly what you're talking about, the energy and the commitment to service and everybody getting together. I mean, you talk about relationship building and the collaboration that was going on. I'll tell you what, they were all talking about solutions, not just the problems.
Exactly.
I know, and it was fun, and it was a great time there. So, first of all, I want to know, what is Director of Learning Development and Marketing? What is it you do? So I'm not even sure I know what that is. It sounds high tech. I'm not sure. Are you Director of my wife's in marketing, so I try not to ever, but I want to know what it is you do specifically.
I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. I'm going to be honest with you, right? I think anybody in trucking, we all wear 900 hats.
Yeah,
One
agreed.
of my favorite things. But in my current role, I am the curriculum developer. So I build training programs in collaboration with key members of our team who have, expertise in whether it be our TMS, produce, a niche vertical, something like that. And I facilitate all new employee development as part of our new employee orientation, as well as ongoing professional development and advancement. So everything from technical skills to soft skills. And then I also oversee our marketing department. So I work in collaboration with our marketing team to get all of our press, make sure our brand remains intact, put on philanthropic events, wellness events, and find ways that our company can give back to those in need, especially this time of year. So
You
to
know,
answer your question, I do a little bit of everything.
yeah, I saw that. I was like, well, okay, show off. Yeah, no, I think that's great. So, Eileen, first of all, you didn't always come. You didn't actually. Your career didn't begin in marketing, right? Why don't you just kind of lead us through where your career began and how you fell. What I would like to say fell into trucking. Where did you come from?
So I came from academia. I used to work at the University of South Florida, and I was there almost a decade. And had you asked me, when I was younger, even 7 years ago, if I thought I would ever end up in trucking, I would have been like, "What? What is trucking? What do you mean? I'm not going to drive a truck," because I think that's all people think about when they think about the trucking industry. And how I ended up at Reed, you get pretty burnout working in the public sector, being at the mercy of budget cuts and things like that. And I had just said, I was open to opportunities. And this company called ReedTMS called me. And they said, "Hey, we have a brand new position we want you to interview for." And in full transparency, I was like, "Who are these people?" Right? But I was curious enough that they went. And, I don't often come to Brandon. My office is right on the Tampa-Brandon line, but I was curious enough that I came. And my first interview happened to be with a man named Jason Reed. And he introduced himself, "Hey, I'm Jason with Reed," right? Not I'm the CEO. We redid our website in 2018, so there wasn't a picture of him in my defense. And at the end of my interview, I'm like, "Jason, what do you do here?" And this is where you insert your foot into your mouth, pretty epically. And he's like, "Well, I guess I'm the CEO." And I was like, "Okay, not getting this job, here we go." But he agreed to take a chance on me, and I had the opportunity to come in to Reed and build the training program from the ground up. And it's been phenomenal ever since.
So, and obviously you're bringing a genuine skill set to this industry in what you're doing by helping to train and helping to understand what's going on over there and to make. And there's a couple of notes in here. By doing that, how are you working to create? Here's a question here I have. How are you working to create more inclusivity in policy language by using word construction? I'm glad that was written out for me, or I would have never gotten that out of my. And I'm not sure how I was going to tie that in.
I got you. You could have been like, "Eileen, I need a layup," but I would have come to your.
Thank you.
So it's pretty interesting. From the moment an employee goes to a website, or they read, even think about a hiring ad, or they go to your website and they're reading about your company. What if the language written about your culture or your office or your team doesn't include how they identify or how they move through the world? So if you don't, from the moment you create policy, whether it be an employee handbook, operational policy at work, anything, or you don't include, a diverse kind of myriad of events, you have to appeal to all types of people, because one of the most beautiful things about trucking is the diversity. And I think a lot of people fail to kind of recognize that. And you can really turn somebody away from wanting to either do business with you, to drive for you, to work for you, if you don't include them. And I think doing things or anything that we can to make an employee, driver, stakeholder, shipper, receiver, anybody feel welcome and part of our culture, that's success to me. So that's actually the favorite thing that I do. Well, one of my favorite things I do.
And I think that's amazing, and that even brings me to another great idea. And I'm a little off the page here, marketing guru. How do we, from your first question, like you didn't know much about trucking, mm-hmm. to including everyone, how do we get the good word out about trucking to those that know very little about? Because I think we have a great story to tell, don't you, Eileen?
Oh my God, it's priceless. And if you start, one of the favorite things that I do, and I know many of my counterparts in the industry do, you got to start with the littles. I call them littles: elementary, middle, high schools. We're really connected with universities. But if you take a tractor trailer to an elementary school, and I always like to take like a toy, a piece of fruit, all this fun stuff, and I ask the kids, what went on the back of a truck? And they're like, "Oh, none of that." right? I don't know what kids think goes on the back of a truck, but then I explain everything you wear, everything you drink, the medicine you take, your school books. It all goes in the back of a truck. And then I get to teach them about truck safety. You know, how long does it take a fully loaded tractor trailer going 65 miles an hour, weighing 80,000 pounds in ideal road conditions to come to a complete stop? And I like football, so I always equated 2 football fields. And they're like, so I get phone calls from parents. Are you teaching Johnny not to cut off trucks and about truck safety? Yes, I am, you know, because I wasn't taught that. And I think the more we get out there and talk about it, and I think one of the beautiful things that the pandemic did for the trucking industry is trucks didn't stop during COVID, and we're still battling this, and we're still dealing with sickness and illness and all the things going on in the world. Truckers don't stop. And if they did stop, we wouldn't get to do the things we love. So we have to continue to get that message out there, especially this time of year when of all the things we should be grateful for, it should be for the people who are driving behind the scenes, working at shippers, working at receivers, to make sure that we can celebrate with our loved ones.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Especially, I've had the rare opportunity myself taking an 18-wheeler to a elementary school or a junior high, both, and had them crawl all over it for the first time, right? You know, get up in it, you know, climb up in the track, you know, do what you can, see what it is you've never seen before and appreciate what it is. Because you know, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, most everyone loves trucks. I mean, I'm just saying, you just love, and if you get to blow the air horn, you can't ever get that out of your soul. I mean, you're locked in forever if you get to blow an air horn. And just think, I did it for years, and I still like blowing the air horn.
You do. I see trucks going down the road, and I, get excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? We were at this Women in Trucking conference, and I think more than ever, it was a male-dominated industry, right? I mean, it was that. I think no longer do we believe that for any part of the imagination. I think we are starting to become aware that in order for this to be what we want it to be, we've got to make sure that we include women, we include men, we include everybody in this industry with talent and brains and abilities. And you agree? I mean, and that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're creating this want for these people to come there.
Yes, and it's about, I think, think about it. When we hired, our first carrier sales representative who spoke Punjab, think about the power of that. You have somebody who now speaks the language of our carriers, a lot of our carriers on the West Coast. And, not everything translates in our languages. And, things like international holidays. If you incorporate all of these little things that are important to not only our drivers, but the people we deliver goods for, I think it just makes everyone feel more connected. And that is what I believe is going to take us to the next level. And, a lot of people say, women are going to change the face of women in the industry. And I think that women should be cheering each other on and celebrating victories and doing all these wonderful things to support and build each other up. But it's not only about women. It's about all of us, as you said, working together to try to make it equitable and accessible for everyone.
How can both men and women impact each other in it? I mean, truly, because we work here diligently to also try to highlight women in the industry. But honestly, if we want to make this place better, how can both men and women make this be impactful in creating that women, the females in our industry, in a positive way? How can we do that?
I think step number one is acknowledging the differences in us and how we bring that to the table. Women are historically, more emotional, not all women, but, that we're accused of that. And instead of looking at the things that make us different as differences, look at them as opportunities. And, if a female is upset by something and, we tend to wear things on our face, at least I do, I can only speak for myself. And I'm a mad crier, I'm a happy crier. If somebody comes home from the military at a football game, I'm full waterworks, right? I can't handle it. And instead of kind of making a big deal about that in a negative way. I think if we change how leadership looks at it, and okay, if this is impacting this individual this way, how many other people are also impacted about it, or by it? And I think it's celebrating. And, sometimes what I think women can learn from men is men are great advocates for themselves and for things. And I think that's something I personally struggle with. So it's not about this and working against one another. It's about how can we work together while being different and diverse across many kind of facets of life to change the face of the industry. No one population is going to change it for another. It's everybody working together and kind of being advocates and sponsors for it. And I think that we're more well-rounded if we're equitable and diverse.
Yeah, I think we are better for it in a lot of ways. Do you see yourself now as opposed to years ago? You look at it now. How are you not in trucking? And once you get it in your blood, it's hard to get out. I mean, because it just becomes every single thing that you do, right? I mean, really, you think about it. It's a big. I mean, I know you work in trucking now, but it's more than that, isn't it, Eileen?
Oh my gosh, I don't want to say a lifestyle, right? Because I sort of struggle with that word, but like everywhere I go, right? My family kind of thinks I'm a loser. I'm pointing out stretch RGNs and they tarp that incorrectly, or, oh, look at the new reefer. That's a multi-temp unit, right? And they're like, no, right? But then I start explaining, produce temps and safety and right and how much it impacts. And, I think when people appreciate trucking the most is when they feel the inconsistencies, strikes, rising fuel costs, all the things kind of going on in our world that are making it harder to get supplies at the store. And I've gotten into it with people at, retailers, gotten into it is a strong word, but I'll see people yelling at truck drivers just trying to do their job. And I have, kind of a zero BS tolerance for disrespect. And I always ask them, like, sir, ma'am, I'm sorry you're so upset, but like this person is just trying to do their job. And what they're generally mad at is that the store doesn't have what they need. And my answer is always, well, if you would be so kind as to move yourself and let this individual do their job, I guarantee you it's on the back of that truck. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, but I think it's all tied to education and getting the word out about trucking and how important it is. In my opinion, trucking is as essential as the medical field. Because if truck stops, we stop.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're going to get their medicine here if it's not brought in on a truck. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
It's just not going to. But we don't. It's about time we toot our own horn, right? I mean, enough's enough, right? Enough's enough of us being the bad guys. We're touted as the bad guys. We're touted in this industry. Eileen, you bring a great idea and promise to this industry by doing something that is a supportive role within the industry, but it's not driving. But there are so many opportunities in this industry, right? I mean, we meet women every single week, day to day, and I am glad that you got pulled from a university to join. Yeah, to join in the fight. I think it's great. I mean, do you mentor yourself, or do you believe in mentoring in this industry?
Yeah, I think it's critically important. I'm fortunate enough, I have 8 mentors, all different facets of life, some within the industry, some without. And my mission in life is how can I surround myself with people who are going to hold me accountable, call me on my BS when I'm saying I'm doing something, but they know I'm not, and who challenge me to be the best version of myself and grow. And mentorship is one of the things that I was fortunate enough to kind of attach myself to very early on in my career. And it's been one of the best things that could have happened to me. So that was one of the panels I did actually at Women in Trucking was focused on women mentoring women. But I think it's all people should be mentoring other people if they have the time and the means and ability to, because if we don't share what we know and what we've learned from with others, we're doing a disservice not only to the industry, but to the world and to the people in our lives.
Wow. I'm actually, that was pretty profound. I'm sitting here doing a little reflective moment. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was called on all my BS, I don't know exactly. I would be. I might be out of a job.
It gets ugly.
Yeah, it does get ugly. And with me, it would probably be what, Blake, 90% of my productivity?
More like 95.
95%.
Oh, I hear the background. All right. Nice.
Yeah, the producer T over there, he thinks he's funny with 95. Hey, I'll tell you, Eileen, look, I appreciate you coming on here. It's a lot of fun to talk to you and to talk again about women in trucking and a little bit about what's going on, diversity and inclusion. It's an important topic. We got to continue to discussing it, right? We got to continue to keep it going on. The conversation has to continue. I think we've done a good amount of conversation. It's about time we act on it all the time. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard and it's not easy changing your ideologies, changing your beliefs, changing your values for the good, not only of yourself and your own company, but for the industry.
Yes.
And
I think the most profound change happens in the spaces of uncomfortable. When we put ourselves outside of the comfort zone. And if you're fortunate enough to have people in your life who put you in that space, I would say do whatever you can to keep them there. Yeah. For sure.
I'm trying to get those people out. I got too many people that make me feel uncomfortable. I'll tell you what, Eileen, it's such a joy to talk to you. Have a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving. Before you get out of here, though, I always ask anybody that's on the show to state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
I would love to. So my name is Eileen Dabrowski with ReedTMS Logistics, and you're watching BCB Live, the safest radio in the nation.
Thank you very much. No, you're good. I like it. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.